All right, so we're gonna be reacting to a video called "Pokemon Still Hasn't Figured It Out" by Stony. I'm gonna link the original video in the description section below. Make sure I'll leave a like and a comment. Subscribe to both me and him. By the way, he has like 2,000 subscribers, but this video did 170K. Stony, damn, yeah, yo, go check it out. Like I said, make sure I'll leave a like, support him, support me. It's January, so if anybody's feeling generous, all that extra good promotional stuff, all that in the description section below. Let's get up into it right now, though. I'm excited to see what this is about, because I hope this isn't one of those videos where it's like, I feel like Pokemon fans have like this this boner when it comes to watching burnt out content. Like they themselves are burnt out, so they attach themselves, or they watch these videos where it's like, oh, Pokemon lost its flair, or Pokemon lost its charm. To some extent that is true, but I feel like when you consume so much of that content, you start to like really separate yourself from what like the games are now and what they're trying to go for, and you damn near rebuke it, you know? I don't know, but let's just see what this is all about. He has my attention for 19 minutes to go. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm on 1080. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go.
Last episode on Pokémon. Game Freak released a video game so buggy and also ugly that the entire gaming community sent viral videos of its bugs to each other on Twitter for at least an entire week.
Yeah,
interestingly enough,
for a month,
the game actually has its merits, and when it comes to gameplay, actually does some things pretty well.
It's cool.
Will Game Freak be given the time and resources necessary for Pokemon to improve as a series within the third dimension? Or will corporate greed, absurd deadlines, and overall disappointment continue to plague the series?
That's exactly what's gonna happen. Understand this, y'all. Listen to me. No matter how you feel about Pokemon, every game since, I want to say, Generation 2 or 3 has been through some type of like time restraints and cut corners. This is like, if you care to like go through the history of Pokemon and how those games are developed, the only game that was given the luxury of being like what it is was Generation 1, and even then that still had like some issues and stuff. But literally, they are running down deadlines. There's so much cut content in a lot of these Pokemon games that like you literally, if you cared about it, you go look for it. But every single Pokemon game, and it's not just X and Y onwards, it's not just Generation 4 onwards, it's literally since the beginning of the franchise. The Pokemon Company and Game Freak are two different entities. The Pokemon Company wants money, so they establish deadlines, they establish things, so that these people that create these games at Game Freak create this product that they can make into merchandise, movies, all that other, so like medias and stuff like that. And unfortunately, Pokemon is too big now. I don't know. Let's keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, shit, I don't know. I don't make the damn games. You know, I always get a little upset when I think about modern Pokemon games.
Same.
Yeah, you know, Scarlet and Violet are a thing and people made fun of them, but like at the same time, there is still some good game in there somewhere. And you know, and then I think about how awful the Diamond and Pearl remakes were, but then I like think about how much fun I had playing Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it's like, okay, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Legends Arceus, in the comment section below, let me know what is your favorite Pokemon game on the Switch. Pokemon Legends Arceus is the best Pokemon game on the Switch. I'm sorry, I gotta listen. It is. It's not an opinion of mine. It is. Okay?
What's going on here? We have such a wide variety of quality and ideas.
Wait, Legends Arceus did. Hold on. Go back to that. Go back to that. Legends Arceus did 83. Scarlet and Violet did 70, 72, 71. The Hidden Treasure is like 65.
A
Sword
wide
is
variety
80.
of quality.
Legends
and
Arceus is literally the
all
best
throughout the games. And
rated
it's so
game on the
frustrating
like. What are we
to see
doing?
this
Like,
because it's like, dude, Pokemon should be the game, man. Pokemon as an IP has such insane potential that it hurts. We
It's
have an
true.
entire generation that grew up playing during the initial Pokemon craze, who have all dreamed of what a fully realized Pokemon game and world could look like and be, with like high fidelity and polish and world design. Everyone thought that the Switch would finally be the console to firmly establish that game. And
No.
while we have gotten games that sort of give us that, it's still not really there yet. Pokemon Legends Arceus has been the closest I've felt to that same feeling I got as a kid when playing a Pokemon game. That feeling of
Right.
excitement and wonder about exploring a brand new world, not knowing what's going on or what's going to happen next, that feeling is what Pokemon needs. That sense of wonder. And honestly, it kind of feels like Game Freak has lost the fact that that is the priority, right? When I think back to my favorite Pokemon games, besides the actual Pokemon, right, that's kind of a given, the world is what really is at the forefront of those games.
I agree.
The region itself and how it's actually designed, that might be the most important part of the series besides the creatures themselves.
I agree.
This brings us to the main things. 1, the world itself.
Right.
2, how the Pokemon interact in that world.
Talk
and
to me.
3, how the player interacts in
Talk
that
to me,
That
talk
loop
to
has
me,
so
talk
much
to me.
room for expanding on, and we've just not seen that yet to the degree that would give us a universally praised game.
now listen. Now I say this all the time. My favorite Pokemon game in my head, the ultimate Pokemon game, is if you take Scarlet and Violet, give it the Legends Arceus gameplay treatment, like how you're like going around throwing Pokeballs, and you can optionally like initiate the battles. You can throw berries, you can throw like little rocks and stuff, you can throw Pokeballs, but then you also can throw the actual Pokemon themselves and initiate a Pokemon battle. I like the idea of like these Pokemon having their own like way of life in that little area that they're in. That's really cool to me. But then when you get into the cities, you can go into the buildings. These people can come in at different times, different parts of the map. There's side quests that, like, you know, maybe 5 or 10 towns, or like 5 or 10 side quests that each town can get, and they like go back and forth between the towns if it's really open world. You know, I feel like what makes Pokemon such a unique and interesting franchise is literally when you, like, you know, when your world is alive, right? And how this region that you made interacts with the Kantos, the Johtos, the Univas, the Sinnohs. How is this economy surviving in the Pokemon landscape, you know, or the Pokemon world they've established in the past? Every single Pokemon game has had reference to literally every single game before it. These last couple games, while sure there's little like Easter eggs and stuff like that, it's not like as direct as like how in X and Y, when you go to, like, I think it's like the train station, there's that one guy who talks about Gary. It's like, oh, whoa. I know who you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I know who you're talking about. You know, it's something like that where it's really cool. I like that.
We have seen the recent games experiment with new mechanics, which has been great, right? The loop Pokemon Arceus has, it was honestly really fun and addicting. I love the ability for Pokemon to feel imposing, right? And the whole alpha Pokemon thing, that helped that out a lot.
That's so cool.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you look huge. Oh, ladies, what's good?
Okay, I didn't mean imposing it like that way. you
What?
know? Yeah, let's move on. You actually need to aim and throw Pokeballs, and you have all the interactions around being like an actual player character in a world with Pokemon that can actually interact with you. You
Right.
get to sneak around, you know, throw food, dodge attacks, etc. Like, all of this was honestly great and made the way to experience the world just feel so much more engaging. This is the experience of being a Pokemon trainer that many of us had in our heads, kind of finally being realized in some form. But as much fun as I had playing Pokemon Arceus, I couldn't help but think how much this was kind of just laying the groundwork for something that should be much greater.
I agree. This is why, like, I always say, like, Legends Arceus is a really good skeleton for something to come. And I also think Scarlet and Violet is the exact same way. They just have to find out a way to fuse the two and just make it more modern, more futuristic. And we're we're done. Like we're done. Like give them the extra year or so. We're done. We're done. It's fine. I'm sorry. I keep talking. I apologize.
Let's break this down though, right? Let's talk about the world itself. We're gonna use Pokemon Arceus here as the example, as I think the dynamic nature of the player gameplay fits better for this point.
Right.
Let's try to think of some of the best standout locations in that game. Okay, so we have the main village. We've got that giant tree in the forest. We've got the beach area, the volcano, I guess, although it is kind of bland. There's those small villages. There's like 2 of them, one in the Iceland and one in like the mud area. The big temple thing, that was interesting. And then Spear Pillar, right? I'm probably missing some. I gotta be, but these are just ones I could think off the top of my head. Now let's compare that to one of like the 2D Pokemon games. And I don't think it matters too much, but let's just choose one from Gen like 3 through 5 or so. Let's go with Gen 3. So you have Rustboro City, first change of pace city, kind of big. There's a lot of things to do. There's like a museum. You've got the cave near that, which is interesting. It's got a different tile set than some of the other caves.
Where are you going with
this?
this?
Island that you take the boat to. You take a boat, and that's also interesting. There's like a boat ride. There's the cave on that island. It's a little different. It's dark now, so it's a change of pace from Rustboro's cave. Of course, there's Slateport City. It's just a port town, and there's lots to do and see in there. Of course, you've got the biking bridge, which is interesting. There's the mystery house. You have the desert. It has a sandstorm, and it's got that fossil tower, which is a interesting little dungeon thing. You've got the sunken ship. You've got the route that has the ashes falling. You've got the moon-like cave. You get the point here. I can go on and on. Like, you have the city that you literally have to dive to and then surface up inside this like crater.
I know you're going with this. Okay.
Situation, and it's so unique. And there are so many of these unique environments in that world, right? So you kind of get the point, right? Like, the amount of memorable locations, it exceeds probably what we get in Arceus and Scarlet and Violet combined.
I agree.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say, Stony. You don't like the modern Pokemon worlds as much as you used to because you're just not a kid anymore. Everybody knows that. You just remember the older game.
Okay. I have okay. So my rebuttal to that, you know, for him, right, is off the top of your head. You got 5 seconds right now. Can you name a town in Scarlet and Violet? No, because you went to that town to go get the gym leader that didn't scale up to you. You were just going through, like, everybody, all other people I know, you went to the town, you tried to go inside the buildings, you couldn't go inside the buildings besides the Pokemon, the Pokemart and the Pokemon Center, which, mind you, are like little like stations and stuff, and you can just go in and it's literally like a menu for items or whatever. And then you battled the gym leader. You probably remember the towns because they sell like certain cooking things for the sandwiches. But that's literally it. Like that's literally it. You know, there's nothing memorable about these towns, minus like I'd argue like the Sunflora town where the Sunfloras were like laggy as hell the entire time, or like the Academy. That's it. Like that's it. At least with Legends Arceus, those are like references to like certain specific locations. Like the volcano is Stark Mountain. You know what I'm saying? Like we know what that is. Or like Mount Coronet, the Spear Pillar, the little like what's that thing called? What is that place? The little tree is supposed to be like Eterna Forest. Like we know how the landscape is supposed to be, you know? But let's keep it going.
Blah. And it's like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't really think that's the case. I wasn't really a little kid anymore in high school when I was playing Black and White 1 and 2, and I can say the same thing about that world design. There is a clear distinction these games have with the world design, like I mentioned.
I get it.
The thing is, this fix is honestly not that hard to conceptualize. We've seen Game Freak attempt to make open world Pokemon games in 3D now a couple of times. And what needs to improve is it's just implementing more interesting and diverse locations with more to do within the region itself that feels substantial.
What I loved about Jubilife Village is the more you get into the game, the more those NPCs start to like have like some type of like livelihood to them. Like all the side quests you get are all from NPCs inside Jubilite Village, and they all, when you finish those quests or you do one quest for another one, the town actually is like being built while you're out surveying surveying the lands or whatever. And it's kind of cool. Like, to me, it's like, oh yeah, like, you know, can you go and collect all the or return to me with like 3 or 4 petra berries or something like that? Okay, cool. I know exactly where those, like, you know, those grow. You come back, you give it to them, and that kid or that like adult, you come back again after another mission, and that kid or adult has either moved somewhere or their house is more built, or they're like, you know, the farmers and stuff. That's cool to me. But they need more of that. Like, that's cool as hell to me. I'm so sorry for Stony. I'm sorry.
You know, it's kind of like, okay, we have this big zone. Let's spice it up by doing.
But like, look at how beautiful this region looks on the surface. But then, like, remember, like I said, there's nothing noticeable about these towns besides, like, I don't know, when I first saw Great Tusk in the desert, and I was like, oh my God, he's so goddamn big. Pause. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's I don't know, bro.
Classic snowy area over here. You know, we're gonna have the rocky area over there. And it's like, okay, that's a start. But if we really want to make something more interesting, we're gonna need to just insert more defined locations. I mean, obviously more towns would be great, right? Like more actual town locations, because those are the easy ones. You can have a bunch of different style of buildings and architecture in each location, and then you can use these towns as connective tissue for the routes to be interesting as well, right? That gives you some sort of foundation to work upon. Scarlet and Violet at least had like a decent amount of them scattered around the world, but I don't know, they still didn't nearly hit as hard as some of the towns in the past games. I feel like they were somewhat integrated into the environment well, but they didn't really have that refined feel as they should. They mostly all lack any interiors, you know. Them running like garbage doesn't really help, and they also just kind of lack any memorable NPCs or really standout points of interest. Another thing is, we need to go back to having more instance-like caves and tower locations and stuff like that, right? Like, you can go into, and it's kind of like an entirely different feel in there.
Yeah, that's that talk, you know? I love this. This is so stupid. This is so dumb, dude. This is so stupid.
The 3D Pokemon games, they haven't really done that much. Instead, the caves have kind of really felt samey and very bland. It's like you go into a cave and it's the same thing everywhere. One cave is just really boring and it's a straight line usually, and there's really no diversity, right? There's no unique things to look at. It's like, okay, we can get very interesting dungeon types. We've done this before in the 2D games, you know? You have stuff like the Mystery House in Pokemon Emerald, or you have things like Meteor Falls, and it's like, these look different. There's interesting things going on in here. We can even look at something like Black and White. You have things like the Celestial Tower, Chargestone Cave, the Relic Castle, Pinwheel Forest, the Cold Storage, right? I can keep going on and on. Another thing that will help to facilitate interesting world design is to kind of have NPCs in locations and probably cities who, you know, they want to give you a quest or a mission, right, to go investigate something interesting, and then you can build ideas off of that, right? Like, let's take example Gold and Silver. Once you get to the city with the Bellsprout Tower, everybody in the city is talking about that. It's a staple landmark. These people know it. They're gonna let you know it, and it's like, cool, okay, let me go explore that thing. Let's do more of that. That would be great. And I know these things, they really do require, you know, a lot of thought and input to make, but like, these are the things that really make a world stand out. These unique locations.
How Pokemon interact, okay.
So now let's talk about the Pokemon's role within the world. I think we took a step back by removing the ability for the Pokemon to attack the player in Scarlet and Violet.
I agree.
Having Pokemon in the world and being able to see them roam around and stuff is great, right? But it doesn't feel as exciting as it should if all the Pokemon do is walk around a few steps.
Or run away.
If I walk into an area and there's just a massive-ass Tyranitar hanging out, it should feel like there's literally a mini Godzilla in front of me capable of fucking my ass up. This then forces forces the player
Pause.
to also interact with the environment or items, and you have to tactically think about what you're gonna do in this situation. Are you gonna catch this thing? Are you gonna battle it? What's going on? This creates stakes, and it makes for a memorable experience. We need more of this. Imagine a Pokemon world where going out into the ocean and having a bunch of Gyarados roll up on you, it feels like that one episode from the anime, and it's actually just really tense and scary. That would be awesome.
I gotta say, like I said before, and I'll say it again, ask somebody what is their most memorable part of their playthrough in Scarlet and Violet and then Legends Arceus. We all have the same, Rapidash story. Who remember when we first saw that Rapidash and it was the first alpha Pokemon, we got attacked. We all remember the Snorlax right there we just saw. You get attacked. If you don't know how to deal with these, you're like, what is that? What is that? And they rush at you. You're like, oh my God. And it's over for you. You just died right there. That's phenomenal, right? Legends Arceus didn't really have it for me. I think the last hour or two of the main game, and then like I still haven't got the DLC yet, but and there's like some instances where like certain Pokemon will run towards you, they'll attack you, but they're not attacking you. You're not really out in the mix for real, you know? But at the same time, so you get the legendary Pokemon. Like, I don't know.
Something else that would be nice is kind of having more diversity for what the Pokemon can do when they're roaming around, right? But I think we can reference back to Pokemon Arceus again, which I do a lot because I did enjoy that game. You know, you had like parts where there'd be a flying Gyarados in the sky, and it's like, holy shit, what? Wow, that's cool. It would be cooler if it wasn't at 5 frames a second, but it was cool. But like, besides these few moments, for the most part, the Pokemon did really just kind of walk around like a couple of steps back and forth. And then besides the Pokemon having more diversity in what they can do, it would be cool if the Pokemon could actually kind of interact with each other in the environment in more natural ways, right? Like, let's say we get to see like a Spearow pick up a Weedle or something like that, and it's in the sky eating it. I mean, I don't know if that's actually accurate to the lore, but stuff like that, right? Thing is, these things would take quite a bit of time, and honestly, it's like frustrating because, man, these games have so much potential, and I know these are just gonna get popped out quick. They could be so much better, but they're just not gonna be given the time because they have to fit these deadlines, man. They're gonna have to go in line with when the show is gonna release, and there's gonna be a new season of Pokemon cards, and it's like, oh man, we gotta get this out by the holidays. It's like, dude, we do not need a game every single year. I know this is good for money, but as a product, as a good product, if we're just trying to make the best thing, man, it's not ideal. And it's like, okay, if you guys need help and want to make more games, fine, let's do that. But let's get more studios involved, I guess, or let's hire more people. Let's get more divisions working on.
You have literally one of the greatest open world developers on Nintendo ever created. Monolith, if you give at least about 10 to 15, maybe 20 employees, the same guys that did Tears of the Kingdom, add them to the Game Freak roster for a good like year, I think we might have some peak. If you want, like, I think I look at Xenoblade games a lot, and how good those games look, and how good they run, and how like, how there's so much on those screens. It's like, dog, Monolith got something crazy. Then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and there was some hiccups here and there, like when it came to like, running the things or whatever. But it was like, yo, like, we can do this with Pokemon. Like, what are we doing?
Pokemon games, and then we can have Pokemon spin-off type games or games that fill in the gaps and have the main team have the time and ability to work on like, hey, this is gonna be the big game for the next Switch, and it's really gonna have a lot of resources put into it. When it comes to the role that the actual player has in the world, I think having the player dynamically invested in the environment through its mechanics is what really helps give that sense of wonder that we're looking for in a Pokemon adventure, right? It's an adventure after all. It should feel like one. I think Arceus did a decent job in this regard, making you kind of feel more like a Pokemon investigator or researcher, right? You were given these tasks to go catch a certain amount of Pokemon, or okay, you have to see a certain amount of moves done from a Pokemon, or catch it in
I'm not gonna lie to
habitat.
you. I think I have an idea. I know, and hear me out, y'all. Time this idea in the comments and let me know how you like this idea, right? I know a lot of people didn't like Legends Arceus because they made that mandatory to like complete the game, and you had to like 100% it. But you know how like they have those little like battle pass mission like things in Scarlet and Violet? I feel like they should do the exact same thing here, where it's like if you catch a certain amount of Pokemon, you can get like a berry, you get like an evolutionary stone, you get like a battle item or something like that. But it's all optional. Make it to where like, you know, hey, you got the Pokemon and you saw the Pokemon, but if you catch like 3 or 4 more of it or whatever, you can like get like you could chain it and get more IVs for this one. The next one you encounter has more IVs, or the next one like you see has a better shiny rate, or the best. And then when you collect all of them, you get like an item or something like that, or like an evolutionary stone or a TM, or like a fragment of a TM, so you can make it, you can craft it. You know what I'm saying? Make it optional, but then like, you know, make it to where like it's worth completing the Pokedex 100%. Not just seeing the mon and catching it, but like if you, let's say you go through the battle pass and you 100% all the Pokemon, you get like, you know, the diploma, and the diploma gives you the shiny charm. You've already went through like, you already have like 10, 15 different versions of the Pokemon. You would have like a chain for that specific Pokemon. So the next time that you see a Pokemon or its shiny form, it has a chance of being like a 3 to 5 IV Pokemon, or it's just 3 IVs. 3 perfect IVs is perfectly normal. That's a good idea, IMO. You know, that's fire.
Etc. And that was addicting. And I think that was fun. It was a compelling way to complete the Pokedex. It made it very engaging. And overall, I think that helps push the adventurer narrative in the right direction.
Right.
Another thing that was in Arceus, but we kind of lost in Scarlet and Violet was the ability to really get in and out of battles pretty quick, right? By just kind of throwing your Pokeball and then being able to run around the arena like it's just right there. That was awesome. I don't know why we took that out. Scarlet and Violet kind of slowed the system down again when battling. Which doesn't make sense, right? You guys have had this great way to speed the process up in Arceus, and the moves came out so fast and the commands were snappy. All those things together, right? Having the snappy combat paired with the ability to maneuver and throw a Pokeball directly at a Pokemon to battle or circumvent the fight altogether, like this really made it feel fluid to play, and I don't really see why we needed to go back from that a bit in Scarlet and Violet. I do think it was probably a good thing in Scarlet and Violet to keep things like the gyms, as well as kind of like, you know, an evil group in the game, right? These things are core things of Pokemon, right? And having core things to do is great. Same with having other things to do. Throughout the series, there's always been kind of miscellaneous things to do besides just, you know, battle gyms, fight the evil team, etc. But the thing is, they've not really had all those ideas kind of accumulated into one game, which is, it's very frustrating. I've always thought it was frustrating that we go from one game that has a certain thing, like maybe the Safari Zone or whatever, and then in the next game, it's just not there. It's like, okay, why do we do this? We don't need to remove cool stuff, all right? And I know this is where it comes to like deadlines, and that's where it sucks, right? That's the worst part about all of this. It honestly hinders the series so much, and it's so hard to see this changing unless the deadlines change.
I agree.
Like, man, you know, when we went from Gen 5 to Gen 6 and we lost the Pokemon World Tournament, which was like the coolest fucking battle mode, what is going on here? Why do we have to do that? That was so good. Let us have that in the game as a staple thing the player can partake in. Like in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they had the idea of master trainers for certain Pokemon. And it's like, okay,
Was cool.
You don't maybe take that idea directly, but maybe rework this into something where there is a trainer that is like the master of defensive battling. It would be so cool, right?
Or every route has a route master And this guy is like the best trainer of that, like that route that you're in. And so this guy has the rarest Pokemon that you can find on that route, but it's on his team and it's his ace. But then he has like 2 or 3 other Pokemon you can kind of just put in, like, oh, like he like I imagine like in Scarlet and Violet, right? You know how like there's a specific spot for you to get Armarouge and Ceruledge just pre-evolution, Charcadet. There's a specific spot you can get them damn things, like on the left side of the region or whatever. Give the route master Charcadet, so at least you can see that thing is available on this route, and that's gonna entice you to stay in that route some more, so you can potentially see whatever Pokemon it is you're looking for, but then also start throwing more Pokeballs and just making sure that you're just catching as many things as possible. You're going through the route, you're looking for things, you're getting all the TMs, you're getting all the, that's a good idea. I'm a genius. I'm sorry.
And learn how to kind of combat stall tactics. Okay, I know that doesn't sound exactly fun, but something like that, right? And these, again, they can just be side things. These are all things that add up.
Bring back the mini games, dog. Like, what the
ideas together that are cool and we've thought of in the past, but then put them into a high fidelity, highly polished, you know, Pokemon game, and that would be so good.
What game was that?
Like, imagine all your favorite features throughout the series, but just given the justice that they deserve in a 3-dimensional Pokemon game. It would be so awesome. Pokemon has got to change something. Whether it's the deadlines that are given to the team or the team and the amount of staff that they have working on the projects themselves, the pace and quality of the recent Pokemon games, it's just not sustainable. The series really deserves better, you know?
I agree.
Pokemon should have that true 3D, polished, highly reviewed game like so many of these other Nintendo series.
I agree.
I honestly don't know what the next games in the series are gonna look like, or if they're gonna decide to do another take on the Legends series, but whatever it is, I really just hope something over there changes, you know, maybe with the next system. Game Freak or Nintendo or whoever it is calling the shots over there, just let Pokemon be great.
Let them cook, please.
That's gonna be it for me. Sorry if
this
got
was phenomenal.
A little ranty, but
no, this was great.
Yeah, everyone who's made it to the end, you guys are the best. I really do appreciate the support recently. We're halfway to 500 subs over here.
500 subs. This video came out 2 weeks ago. He's at 2K. Yo. Go run him up now. Hold on. This was phenomenal. Go run up his subs right now. Go run up his subs right now. Go run up his subs right now. Leave a like and a comment. This was phenomenal. Stony, thank you for the video. This was beautiful. This was beautiful. You're beautiful. This was great.